welcome. Hi, I can't even tell if I'm live. I couldn't use StreamYard today because I am having technical problems. And with StreamYard, I'm having technical problems with StreamYard. And so I don't know if I'm live. I hope I'm live. So be sure and say hello when you come on. So I know if I'm live because StreamYard wasn't cooperating this week and I could not get my live scheduled. I couldn't get anything going. It was really kind of ridiculous, and I'm waiting for them to respond so I can get it all fixed. So anyway, to my live. Hopefully you can find me today. If not, of course I will. If I can get this video downloaded, I will be scheduling, or I'll be sending out this replay for you guys so that you can see it. So hopefully you are here and you can see it. Please say hello when you come on so I know that you can see me and you can hear me, and we are ready to go. All right. So today we are going to talk about perfectionism and how perfectionism can be a real implementation killer, right? And so I wanted to go through all of my slides, but now I'm afraid to even use this thing because I've never used it before live. So I'm probably not going to share my slides today, but I'm going to go through and talk about how we can make it so perfectionism doesn't hold us back, right? Because chances are perfectionism may not be about actually that need to be perfect, but more of that fear of failing, right? Because when we have that fear of failure, or that fear of putting ourselves out there, that fear of, being criticized, that really is a reflection on, what's going on in our heads and how confident we're feeling. And so, well, not always. It could be other things too, but I'm going to really focus on that fear factor because I think that is a big thing that holds us back as entrepreneurs, is that fear of getting out there, right? And putting yourself out there so people can see your work. And without people seeing your work, there is really no way for anybody to purchase anything from you, right? And so it's time for us to let go of perfectionism so we can start making money faster, right? And so if fear of failure is, if you find yourself being highly critical, not just of your own work, but of other people's work as well, if you find yourself setting unrealistic standards for yourself, and if you, think in terms of that all or nothing, like it's got to be here, otherwise forget it, it's going to be bad, or worse, when you don't make those goals and you don't make it perfect, you're down in the dumps, freaked out, not feeling good about yourself, all those things. So if you find yourself doing some of those things, it might be that perfectionism, ghost or whatever it is, that thing, a monkey on your back or whatever, that's kind of holding you back, right? And so today I wanted to go into how, we can set realistic goals for ourselves so that we can actually get things done and quit worrying about things being perfect. Because the bottom line is nothing will ever, ever, ever be perfect. You can always make some sort of improvement. There will always be something that, is imperfect, right? And your color isn't right, or this isn't right, or you have a spelling error, or you have, you could have designed it better. You could have, added more things to it. You're always going to have that. So it's better to just go for it. Otherwise, you're going to hold yourself back from making money, right? And we want to make sure you're making money as fast as possible, because that keeps, well-needed revenue and funding into your business, infusing into your business so you can keep going. But it also helps us feel better about what we're doing and gives us opportunities for feedback. So, we could go through the basic scenarios of how to stop perfectionism. setting realistic goals. You could face that worst case scenario, like what is going to happen if it's not perfect? What's that going to look like, right? Well, you're probably not going to die or anything like that, right? So you're not going to be maimed for life if it's not perfect. So it's time to get out there and stop worrying about it. So my opinion is just relax and go for it, right? And the way we go for it is through this wonderful thing called Agile and Scrum, because in Agile and Scrum we have this continuous improvement cycle, right? So our basic life cycle for development is, we get the requirements, we do some sort of a design, we do the development and the testing, and then we deploy and we review, right? But in the Scrum methodology, that development stage is build at least part of it. Build the part of it that matters, right? And so how do we define that? How do we figure out what the part of it is? You go for function first, right? Make sure it functions. So for example, if we were to build a lead magnet, right? Well, you can't just build a lead magnet. Okay, you created a downloadable PDF, right? Well, now what? How are you going to deliver it? How are people going to get to it so that they can find you and, get on your email list and all those things? I mean, after all, that's the function of a lead magnet, right? Is to get somebody onto your email list. So if you do the Scrum methodology, which is called drive the spike, basically what you're doing is you're touching all the pieces through the whole entire design, and you're building the bare minimum, the happy path, if you will, right? So you're going to build that basic thing. So let's take that lead magnet. If you have a lead magnet, you've got to, one, build the lead magnet. Number two, you need to build some sort of an opt-in page, and then probably a thank you page. I mean, you might be able to get away with just a little blurb like, okay, thank you, check your email, right? But you might want to make a nicer, thank you page that gives them some information. But that's a nice to have, right? You could get away with the bare minimum of just a thank you, check your email, right? You could get away with that at first. So you build that opt-in page, you build that thank you page. Now you probably need to create at least one email to send out that thing that somebody opted in for, right? That lead magnet that somebody opted in for, and say hello to them. Now, ideally, you probably want 3 to 5 emails, somewhere like that. You might want an upsell, after the lead magnet comes in, then it prompts, takes them to another page that sells them something, maybe a one-time offer. That's that ultimate funnel, right? That you want to build that makes money for you, but you don't have to have it there right out of the gate, right? You can just have your lead magnet, your registration page, your thank you page, and a welcome email to at least get started. Now you can start getting people on your email list, and then you can start, sending them, following up, sending them emails and following up with them, inviting them to calls or whatever it is that you do, right? If you're a coach, inviting them to a call, or sending them more value, more things, more freebies, more information, all that stuff. But getting at least part of it out there is going to help you reach that goal, right? Which with a lead magnet is to get people on your list and grow your list. So that lead magnet that we just did while we drove the spike and we built the very bare minimum is doing its job. Now, is it going to do the best job that it could do in its full potential? Well, maybe not. Maybe. We don't really know, right? But that's the point, is when we do this, then we create a baseline for ourselves. Okay, when we create the very bare minimum, we get this much return, right? We get this many people signing up on a regular basis and blah, 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 right? But now you have that baseline of information, and so now you go in through a process called continuous improvement, which is a Scrum thing, right? I love Scrum, so I'm always talking about Scrum, and so you build this continuous improvement process where now you have this lead magnet, right? So maybe at first, every 3 months you go through and you iterate through that lead magnet once again. You make improvements to that lead magnet, and then you know, make improvements to maybe your welcome page or your opt-in page, to the thank you page, add some more emails to your email automation that you created, and start fleshing that baby out, right? And so you built the bare minimum. Well, maybe you got some subscribers from that, right? Let's say you got 10 or 15 or 20 subscribers. Well, that when you get those subscribers, then now you have something, right? Something to work with. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter if you have 10 subscribers, it doesn't matter if you have 10,000 subscribers. One of those subscribers on your list may be a buyer. And so you don't want to just like, oh, I'm not going to release anything until it's ready. I'm going to wait. You're really doing a disservice to your people, right? Because they signed up for your list. They shouldn't have to wait. They signed up now. So get that stuff out there, drive that spike. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you go through a continuous improvement process so that you can make it better, make it fit your standards more, and look at those baseline metrics that you had and see what improvements you can make to improve those baseline metrics, right? Everything we do should be driven by data, not just, nice to haves that aren't going to help us with our conversions, with our statistics and all that stuff. Now, I'm not saying that you don't make something pretty and make something nice and, do a good job and make it look professional and all that stuff. That's important, and that's an important part of getting more and more conversions, right? Because the nicer our products are in the end, we might actually increase our conversions or our conversions more than we would if we didn't have it perfect. But I say this again, is it really ever perfect? No. Are you always going to find fault with your work? Probably. And so let's just not go there, right? Let's just keep driving the spike, going through continuous improvement, making those improvements as you need to, and get money coming in sooner. Building that list gives you opportunities to sell, right? You have a warm audience when you have a list. You can continue to nurture them and do all those things. And you can kind of just, improvise for a little while you get some of these things in place. Because the bottom line is, guys, it takes time to build out a business. And depending on how many hours you work during the week, it's going to take that amount of time. If you put in 40 hours a week, you might get it done faster. But if you put in only 20 hours a week, it's going to take you a little longer to get things done. If you're only putting in 10 consistently, it's going to take you that much longer unless you start thinking about hiring it out. All right. Thanks, Kathleen. I see your message. Thank you so much. I'll get the replays out to you if it comes, because I couldn't go on StreamYard today, so I'm having StreamYard problems today. Okay, so let me see. So make sure, just to kind of recap, what we're talking about here is Scrum has this concept called drive the spike, right? And drive the spike means you drive through all the layers. So, like I said, with a lead magnet, you have to have, a opt-in page, a thank you page, a welcome email, and the lead magnet itself, right? Well, basically, you have to touch all those pieces, at least somehow, some way, to make it function. Function first, pretty it up afterwards, right? So function first, you get it going, and then you start collecting email addresses or whatever so you can keep going, and then you just start making improvements. Everything you do can be done this way. Your offer, everything. That's why you hear people say, "Oh, don't sell your course," or "Don't build your course until you sell it." Right? Well, that's why, because they know that you can just drive the spike because the value of the content is the content itself, not the beautification of the content. And so if you have good content and you have, the concepts down that you're trying to teach, the presentation of it can always be improved. So do the best you can to do your presentation and then just keep going through and doing continuous improvement. That is the beauty of Scrum. Scrum does not require us to be perfect. What it does require is us to be flexible and sustainable and agile, right? And so when you drive that spike and you put something out there, it's kind of a litmus test, isn't it? Because you can get it out there, you can see how people respond, you can get feedback, you can even get testimonials from that one thing if you get it out there. But if you never get it out there, you never get anybody on your list, you never get the feedback you need, you never get the information you need so that you can make it better. And really it's not your standards that matter, it's your client's standards that matter. And so if you get something out there, you can get feedback faster, right? If you get something out there, you can get that data faster. If you get something out there, you can get leads faster. So, is it unrealistic that you can start making money if your stuff isn't perfect? Absolutely not. It is totally realistic. You can start making money. You can start helping people now. You can start getting your work out there, and you can get feedback and make improvements and make it happen just by driving the spike. So I want you to think about that. If you think about think about an onion, right? So the onion, how you can peel the layers off of an onion, right? So if you were to just drive a nail or something right through the outside of the onion all the way to the core of the onion, each of those layers of the onion is part of that thing you're building, right? The lead magnet, the the opt-in page, the thank you page, the welcome email series. It's all, in those layers. Well, there's more to it, right? There's the whole onion of that layer that you want to build out. But if you just drive that spike, you're building the bare minimum you need to function so that you can get going. So anyway, I'm repeating myself, I think, but so I hope that this helps you because, we can all look at the, psychological reasons and this and that. But to me, I believe that the drive the spike concept is so freeing, and it helps you to just let go of all that worry and fear and get your work out there. And, because here's the thing is, 5 years from now, you might be creating something new that's in the drive the spike mode. But the old stuff that you're creating today, you will have gone through a continuous improvement process where it's humming now. It's doing really good and it's doing its job for you, right? It's doing its job for you. That lead magnet you create today will serve you for a long time to come if you keep going through that continuous improvement process, because you can keep improving it and making it flex with how your clients see the world and the technology that's currently available and all those things that happen in a fast changing world like an online business. It's very fast. It changes very fast, and you're always having issues and technical problems and this and that and improvements, and Facebook does this and now the iOS, and we have all those things. So you know what? You just got to go for it. Facebook does it. We all seem to forgive Facebook even when it's buggy. So So I assert to you that you just got to get out there and get doing it, and make sure that you just follow up with a continuous improvement process. Because, here's the thing. Here's a great story. So I was talking with one of my Scrum bosses the other day, and she was just really kind of concerned about, not learning all the things. Like, she had too many things on her plate that she had to learn. And we were really focused on getting her main flagship offer built out so that she could launch, and so she was all worried about some of these things and marketing and all these things that were kind of black holes still for her. She didn't quite know. And so we talked about that, and we talked about how at first, there's so much to learn as an online entrepreneur. There's, build all the technology, the tech stack that you have, right? There's all that stuff. There's, learning about a lead magnet and a tripwire and this and that, all these different things, right? And marketing. There's a whole marketing thing. There's content marketing, social media marketing, email marketing, all the different things that you need to learn when it comes to marketing. The thing is, you'll have time to learn all that. And so the sooner you get your work out there, then you can go into more of a continuous improvement process with that. And then, and you do the best you can on social media and marketing and email. You just do the best you can, right? But then there's going to come a point where you're going to be like, okay, now I've done all these things. I've created this. I've mastered this thing. Now I'm ready to take on marketing. Now I'm ready to take on email marketing. Now I'm ready to take on social media marketing, right? Because yes, you were limping along and you're doing all that and you're doing the best you can, but now you're ready to really dive in and learn the things that you need to learn about that particular subject. But you can't learn it all at once. And when you do that, that's where you go to that dreaded shiny object syndrome, right? Where you're just buying all kinds of stuff. You're trying to, you have half done courses, PDFs you've downloaded and never looked at, stuff you've printed and it just sits on your shelf and all that, right? Because you are allowing yourself to focus on too many different things at once. And that's what I love about Drive the Spike is it's like build that bare minimum you need and focus on the things that you want to focus on now to learn. Like if you're building a lead magnet, that's probably your focus is how to build one, right? And then that sales page, and then that thank you page, and then that first email that goes out. That's enough to learn, let alone the marketing too. But once you get that done and you get going, then you can start focusing on the marketing part of it. So you see what I'm saying? And that's why we work in sprints. We work in sprints, 2-week periods of time. It could be anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks of sprint, in Scrum. I like 2 weeks. 2 weeks where you focus your time and energy on just that one thing. Seriously, you can build out a lead magnet and the front end of your funnel with that sales page and that thank you page and your email. You could do it in one sprint if you really wanted to. 2 weeks period for sure. You could do it in a few hours. So some people say, oh, you could do it in 3 hours. But if you struggle with the copy or the tech or anything like that, you could give yourself a week or 2 weeks to actually create this thing. And then after that 2 weeks is up, now you're done with that. Now you can focus on the next phase of it, which might be the marketing of it, the social media part of it, that kind of stuff, or the continuous improvement. Now you got it out there, you're able to actually collect email addresses. Now let's do some improvements on that thing before we go to the next thing. It really depends on you and what your priorities are. If your priorities are into, getting into that big ticket where you want to get that big ticket item out there or bigger ticket item, out there, then that next phase is going to be to get to that level, is to get that thing going. And you just keep building all the pieces and putting them in place. And then eventually it all comes together and you're always going through continuous improvement to make sure that you're, doing the best you possibly can. So, and sometimes that's why we set date limits for ourselves. It's not so we can just set some random date. It's so we kind of blow the whistle like, okay, you got done as much as you got done. So that's it. We're moving on to the next thing. That's why driving the spike is important, because you don't want to be where, oh, shoot, I haven't even created my email yet and time's up, right? Instead, create the bare minimum, then go back if you have more time and add the fluff and the nicer things that you want to have, right? And then, go to those could haves and then go to those should haves. Remember how we prioritize in Scrum. Must have, function, right? Should have. Yeah, it would function better. It might look better. It might, sell better, all those things. Could have. It's a nice to have. It doesn't have to be there, but it would sure be nice to have it. It makes me feel better about the product or whatever, right? And then won't have it this time could simply be something like the iPhone with their camera, right? They put out their phone, the very first one, it did not have a camera. because the technology wasn't there. They wanted to have a camera, but they made the strategic decision to not have it at that time, and they released the phone without it, right? Well, look at what it is today. They didn't look at that first one and say, well, that's it failed. I'll start over and do something different. No, they went through continuous improvement and they expanded the features and they improved on the features so that they could have a better and better and better product each and every release. And look at it today. What are they, iPhone 12 now or something? Well, you're going to be there someday soon too, right? You'll be at an iPhone 12. You'll be at an iPhone 5. Where do you want to be when you're an iPhone 5 and not an iPhone 1, right? So think iPhone 1, if you haven't built it, build the iPhone 1, then the 2, then the 3, then the 4, right? Okay? Okay? So get out there, get bold, just go for it. Remember, you always have the opportunity to go back. It's not like, the 2.2 billion people that are on Facebook are all going to see your first lead magnet. So you've got plenty of people to talk to and visit with in the next 10, 20, however many years that you will be in business. And so you want to, get things out there so you can start doing that litmus test and make sure that it is actually what your people need and want. Okay? All right. Well, I kept you long enough, so I'm going to let you go. I hope that this helps you. Just go for it, guys. Just go for it. You're not always going to be perfect, and you don't have to be. And in fact, most of the time, that's part of the charm, right? Is just being perfectly imperfect. All right? Okay, you guys, take care. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Stephanie, for being here. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. I'll see you in the comments.